meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Councilmember Thomas is absent tonight. Approval of the agenda. You have the agenda that was in your packet. Is there any additions? Council have any additions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Heidi.
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4 in favor, none against. Approval minutes, November 2nd, 2016, regular meeting. They're in your packet. Is there any questions, corrections, clarification that needs to be done with those meetings? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the November 2nd, 2016 regular meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Diane. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. This brings us to our public open forum. This is for anyone in the audience that would like to speak to the council on anything that's not on the agenda. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Okay, seeing no one, our public open forum is now closed. We have no public hearings. And now brings us to our reports and presentations. The police department. Brian?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Whoa.
Strong personality.
Some of the activity we had for October 2016.
What? What?
Is it your radio?
All right, let's see if we can get, we'll just forget the mic. Test, test. Okay.
That's better.
Oh, much better.
All right, we had some
No, it's not.
of the alarm calls we had 9 alarm calls or false alarms. We had 19 assists for other agencies. Breaking that down, we had 3 assists for Melrose, 7 for the State Patrol, 8 for Stearns County, and 1 for Todd County. We had 38 citizen contacts. We had 3 fifth-degree controlled substance arrests. We had 7 small amount of marijuana and drug paraphernalia arrests. We had 9 gas drive-offs. We had 8 juvenile problem calls, 32 matter of information calls, 12 medicals. We had 11 accidents. We did 16 school patrol for the school, 14 suspicious calls. 9 of those suspicious activity, 1 suspicious person, 2 suspicious phone calls, and 2 suspicious vehicles. And what else? We had 26 welfare checks. We gave out 172 verbal warnings. So we had 396 calls. And we had the 172 verbal warnings for a total of 568. So compare that to 2015, we're down 24 calls. We gave out 68 less warnings and down a total of 92. Compare that to September, we were down 59 calls, down 82 verbal warnings for a total of 141 now. A little quieter month in October. Otherwise, that's all I have for October.
Anyone have any questions for Brian?
I've got one. Brian, if, a lot of us have alarm systems on our homes. If there's a false alarm, is the person charged anything for that?
Never happened, no.
We should look at licensing those sometime,
Licensing the
the alarm system.
alarm systems?
I know they do that in St. Paul and in the Twin Cities. They charge, I don't know, $15 a year or something, and it helps defray the cost for the false calls. I don't know, just something to think about.
It's pretty spread out, so
Yeah.
we don't, I would say if we had trouble with a particular place, maybe we would consider that, but I think they're pretty spread out for us, so that keeps us busy.
Okay, thanks, Brian.
On the gas no pays, are these mostly just people forget to go in and thought they paid with credit card, or are they intentional?
50% are accidents, something with the card at the pump didn't work right, then the other 50% are actual crimes, so. Yeah.
But we're catching them? Okay.
Yeah, or I'd say they're not catching them, but most of the time we're giving the information to the store owner to follow up civilly with them too, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Any other questions for Brian? Thank you.
Yeah. Good luck.
Feasibility report, Kate's Estates Drive. Keith? You can, I
Try this. I'm scared of it. No. It's on. Or is
think
it?
it's on.
Testing? Testing? Is it on?
It's fine.
All right. We'll try it, see if it works. Mayor and Council, this is for your benefit, this is, I'm going to provide you a summary of the Kate's Estates Drive Utility and Street Improvement Project. After this presentation, and I think one of the first items in your action would be to accept this report and consider whether you wish to call an improvement hearing for this. So this is a summary. You do have the report in front of you. I'm going to be giving you kind of all the pertinence out of that, but if you wish to have some late night reading, feel free to go through it. So, turn this on first. There we go. So this is for the utility street improvements, and I'm calling it also related improvements because there is some water main that's part of this I'll be going through that's sort of just outside of this, the actual development itself. Project location is as shown. I'm going to try to get out of the way of so the camera can see us a little bit. Project location is right up there just off Main Street to the east and south of Lakeshore Drive. There'll be some areas we're going to be looking at for water main that are just to the south of that as well, and I'll show you those maps here in a minute. Right now, coming off of Lakeshore Drive, this is looking south along Kate's Estates Drive. It's just a gravel drive at this point in time. There actually is supposed to be a road there. There is utilities underneath there, including storm, water, and sanitary sewer that extends to the south. You can kind of see a hydrant back there past that driveway, if you can see that. So the utilities are stubbed into this area. The proposed improvements are as shown here. Now, this is north, is towards me in this way, so it's to the left of here. So this is Lakeshore Drive, this is Main Street. The improvements would be to put in a cul-de-sac that goes and extends pretty much what you saw on the picture that I showed you. In fact, you can kind of see right here, if you see this little outline, that's kind of the gravel area right now. So it's pretty much what you saw in the gravel is where it'd be. This would be a standard 36-foot street, 90-foot cul-de-sac through here. This would then provide the full improvements, street improvements into the Kate's Estates. It also then provides the permanent street for this dwelling here, or I should say the sixplex that is here that currently is using that gravel drive. The utilities are stubbed in approximately to this location here. We'll be extending, first of all, the sanitary sewer just comes from this manhole, extends to the south. That provides access for this lot and this new lot number 1 and 2 and 3, provides sanitary sewer for those lots. This is all City of Sauk Center owns this property at this point in time and intending to sell that. This little hump here, for reference, is Indian Mounds, so that is a protected area in that outlot. The water main would extend. This is a 12-inch trunk water main that comes through here. We'd be extending that around the Indian Mounds and to the south end of the property here. There's already a sewer services and water service for this area that's located right here. We've contemplated the potential of this lot being split in the future. So we've planned for another service, kind of to service the south side of this lot, then one to service this larger lot 2, and larger lot 3 would be served off of that sanitary sewer manhole and the water main through there. So this is an extension of that trunk water main all the way along and out into Main Street on that south edge. This is what I'm going to call, we'll refer to a little bit, this will be the base project, kind of what you see in front of you. Now we've got a couple of options here that we've looked at extending that water main to provide looping. One of the things we have is, so what you have in front of you, once again, north is towards me. This is Main Street up through here. So down to the south, this is Country Club Road through here. From Country Club Road and to the blocks that are south of here, there's small, only 4-inch water main through there. It really actually is one of the weak spots of our water main system. We don't really have adequate fire protection in there because of the size of the main, so we don't get enough volume out of our hydrants in that area. So it is an area that we've wanted to make a connection to provide some additional capacity when we can, when it seems to make sense. And this provides some opportunity to do that. What I've done here is I provide a couple alternates. One is to essentially extend that water main across Main Street and then straight down the west side of Main Street and connect in at Country Club Road down at that south end. The other option is to basically extend into the golf course property and then go south and connect over at Oak Street. This is kind of concept in nature in terms of its layout here, but this would be a potential. There has been some discussion about developing this property, and there would generally be a road up in this area and housing that would be through here. So they'd provide benefit for the homes to be able to have their water services off of this. That could also happen here if there's ever homes that faced out and got access from Main Street. So either one of these options could work for this area, but I think if we decide to move forward with these, there would have to be some discussions with this landowner to find out what might be the best solution for them to provide for their needs for the water, as well as to provide something that's financially feasible for them as well. So those are a couple of options that we have looked at in order to make this work out. And the PUC does have an interest in making those connections for the reasons I stated earlier, that there just isn't adequate water flow in this particular area. It's really actually one of our weakest spots in the entire city for water distribution. So I've gone through the estimated project costs. Once again, we have, it kind of illustrates at the right side. Top one is the base project. This one's a base project plus alternate 1. This one's the base project with alternate 2. They don't change dramatically. It's primarily that length of that water main through here. So you'll see things like sanitary sewer and the services and the streets really don't change much. The reason they change at all is just because as the project gets larger, the indirect costs come down a little bit. So that's the only reason they really change just a little bit. But you'll see that what really changes is the trunk water main costs. Now, the trunk water main costs are the costs that are for greater than the 8-inch equivalent size of water main. So it's the difference in cost from an 8 to a 12-inch. And that would be a PUC cost. So you'll see as that extends, as the water main gets longer, it goes from about 10,000 to 22,000 to 35,000. That becomes part of the PUC cost for that trunk improvements. And then you'll note that the trunk water main costs, obviously water main, the base costs, and the water main alt 1 and 2, they get obviously larger as the project gets larger because there's more water main in order to do that. So that's the differences between them, ranging from $186,000 for the base option, $268,000, and $303,000 for the alt plus the base plus alt 2.
Keith, can you go
Yep.
back one slide just to see what those
Yep.
are again, the
Yep.
base versus
I
alternate?
sure can. Right here. Once again, Alt 1 is the water main that goes along the west side of Main Street down to Country Oak Road, and Alt 2 extends over here. It's based upon what you see in front of you. This possibly, this option really probably wouldn't change. It's pretty much running down the right-of-way. This, depending on working with a developer, perhaps could change in alignment a little bit. That might change some of the lengths of this perhaps a little bit as well. But I kind of picked of what I thought would sort of be a worst-case scenario at this stage to kind of give a, what the maximum cost potentially would be with this type of an approach. And really the difference is, as you can see, this length from here to here and here to here is basically the same. So the difference is this length that would be extend into the property. So
So the base versus alternate 1 and alternate 2, base would be doing nothing to the water main.
that's correct. It would
Okay.
stop right here, basically. It'd stop
Okay.
right up there. So there wouldn't be a connection down to our existing water. The closest water is currently right here and up on Country Club Road. That's where our current water main to the south side is, and that's all 4-inch water main through there. So it's fairly small stuff. Any other questions on that?
Nope, thank you.
Okay. And then the assessments, similar, with the costs as it relates to, they don't change a lot in the sanitary, the services and the streets. Those are really related, once again, to the indirect costs, changing slightly with the size of the project. So you'll notice the cost per front foot, $31.70, it actually goes down slightly as you get larger. Most of the streets are about $81 a square foot a lineal foot for those. Now, I will tell you that one of the things we've done is because that sixplex that's in there is kind of an odd scenario where there's actually the apartments and the garages are like separate. They're all separate parcels, the way this is laid out. So what we've done is we've taken the front footage for the property, and then we've split it up on a square foot basis for the square footage of those parcels. So it's a little bit odd for that particular one, and that's why I have this cost per square foot. That's what that's related to. So, and then you see the costs each for the sanitary services and the water services for each of them. They don't change much, as you can see. PUC cost, once again, is for the trunk water main, that $9,000 up to $35,000 for those. So those are the assessment rates. Now, normally, I know we've done a lot of reconstruct projects recently where we've been paying 50/50. Well, this is a new development project, so that doesn't apply in this. All those assessments get fully assessed against those properties, with the exception of the trunk costs, which go then to the PUC. So a little different than we've seen for a few years now. Give you a sense, and these are in your reports. There's actually, I just have the base in front of us here. I didn't want to go through all three of them, but all three of them, they change slightly for depending on the parcels, are in your reports at the back so that you can look through those. But generally you can see, some of those small ones, it's only a couple $1,000s, and it ranges. Item number 2, 3, 4, 5, that is the actual the city property. Those are included in assessments. That's why you didn't see there was city cost, because this is, even though we are the owners, so I don't have that like it's a city cost like we normally would in a reconstruct. We would be part of the assessable cost, essentially. Okay, so you can see that some of those varies. Those are some larger lots, like you see in 2, 3, and 3, 4, and 5 there. But they range 24,000, a couple thousand. These ones here, this KNMH properties, just for your knowledge, those are the sixplex. So there's 12 parcels. For each of them, there's essentially an apartment and a garage. So
I thought that got cleaned up a few years back with all the separate parcels. 'Cause
yeah, they're all separate. There's actually a separate parcel that the common walkway is
Yeah,
a separate parcel.
yeah, it's
We didn't use that. We use it doesn't really matter because there's a lump sum essentially that goes against that property as a whole, and we split it up by the apartments and the garages. We could have just done the apartments, but I wasn't positive if it was possible that somebody could own 2 garages and somebody not own any garage. So that's why I split it up between the garages as well. So you can see that, there's a couple $1,000s essentially for those. The garages are those small ones there, 600, 500 that you see in front of you here. So those are the assessments, and that would be based upon the base project. So those are what those would look like at this time. So with that, I'll turn it back to the mayor for any questions you might have of me.
Questions, council?
Yes, if you do go with just the base, you would be able to do the alternatives at a later date?
We could, yes, that's correct. We could do that as a later date.
So you're not sealing yourself in by not?
No, because we come down to that common point, so we could take off from there and go. There is, some merit to have that connection and get that done, but, whether it's right now or sometime in the near future, but it certainly can be done in the future, yes.
Yeah, it'd be nice to know the wishes of the golf course, what that's going to turn into.
Well, I would recommend that's probably one of our next step is to actually go and sit down with them and talk about, what are their thoughts, what do they want to do, how does this potentially fit in, the pros, the cons, those kinds of things. So I think that's kind of the next step, as I would see. And we've kind of talked about that, Vicki and I, so.
One of the things that I know on the 30th, we've got a joint meeting with Water and Light, and I think this is going to be one of the subjects that we got to talk about as far as if there's a benefit for the PUC to loop the water and whether or not we go on or not. Their stance right now is, years ago whenever there was a development done in the city bore the cost of all the infrastructure and everything that happened, and it pretty much almost bankrupted the city. So then it changed that if someone develops anything in the city, the developer covers the cost. And as of right now, Water and Light is looking with this base project, as the city's the developer, you cover it, we're not going in on it, and I think there needs to be some discussion as far as that viewpoint. I think there's some leeway in there. I don't want to get back to the point where we cover everything 100% like we used to, and then we're basically the bank, and then until something gets done, we don't get our money back. And that's the way it used to be. So I think the next step is when we talk to Water and Light at that joint meeting. And go ahead.
Oh, that's
Nope,
right,
that's
we
fine.
were done.
Nope, I'm done.
I'm just wondering, you had mentioned that there's probably inadequate water for fire protection. Now, would this looping improve that situation?
It would provide more volume so that we can flow. What happens is all the water comes up from the south essentially, and it's a long way and it ends up losing pressure. Having this looped around will give a little better, it's still not ideal. We ultimately need to replace those mains in that area, at some point in time in the future, and that'll be part of our CIP look to see, when those streets might need to be reconstructed, and we would be replacing those with 8-inch water mains, and that's the long-term solution for that area. But this would definitely provide that better loop. It provides even other areas. It's a loop for lake shore so that if something happens, there's additional possibilities for water flow from that area. So there's other benefits as well, even outside of that country road area by having things. We always want to loop things. We never want to have things kind of stuck, especially with a trunk. We don't have any trunk that connects that area.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Any other last comments? Keith, as far as,
I don't know. We'll have to decide when you get to the action item, how you want to proceed, if you want to hold off until that meeting, or, there's a possibility you could say, well, let's move forward on the base project, because we can always dovetail the other stuff into it at a later point in time if we wish. So that's a discussion we can get to when that item comes up.
basically, I think, the base part is gotta be done because we've got an apartment house that wants to get started.
As long as you can build on that,
You know, we can go on that, but I think after we have discussion with the PUC and possible discussion with the golf course, you know, property, that owner, then we can always tweak it as we go, if that's the way it sounds like is a case, right?
Yep. That's the way I would see it anyway.
Okay.
I don't think he has anything different approach, but I would think that would be okay, so.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we will move on to our action items. Approve Resolution 2016-81, accepting feasibility report and calling hearing.
So this just continues on with what you were just talking about, and I kind of set it up with the idea of that, of discussing this with the public utility. I did put in here a date that if you accepted the feasibility study, we could call for the hearing on December 21st. That gives us 5 weeks. So that gives us the 2 weeks from now, we have the joint meeting with the PUC, and then if we decide whichever way we want to go forward, there's still time for the publications and the notice, and we could hold that public hearing on the 21st, or we certainly could hold it in January. Just remember, once we do that, then Keith has more work to do to get ready for that hearing, and then we always want to have design and bidding in the wintertime. So everything kind of falls together. So I put this kind of as a date that we could still get it done, but yet still have input from the PUC and have time to talk to the two developers that are in mind. So if you think differently and you'd like to just accept the report and not call the hearing, you can do that, but this resolution actually calls the hearing for the 21st.
Comments? So if we go ahead with this resolution and we call the public hearing, it's strictly going to be for the base and not
No,
for...
the public, well, depending on what we decide with the public utility and that, then we can, because we won't have to do the mailings until after the meeting with the public utility.
Okay.
So we won't send those out till the first week of December. So by then, we should have a good idea of what it can be. At the minimum, we could do the base, or we could add on to it, like Keith said.
Okay. Comments? Questions? Any concerns? What's the council's wishes? Do you want to approve Resolution 2016-81, receiving the report and calling hearing on improvement?
myself, I think we should probably wait until that joint hearing,
Joint meeting?
joint meeting with the PUC.
And
That's
then-
just my,
Then set a different date or the improvements?
yeah. I mean, I would vote on this, but that would be my suggestion anyway, that we
Okay.
wait and see how receptive they are to.
So our meeting is the 30th, and then the public hearing would be the 21st.
Correct.
That'd be enough time.
Or you meet on the 30th, and then on the 7th, you set the public hearing, but then that will push it off into January.
We're not on a clock to do this project.
We're on a clock, because we're
Yeah.
doing a building permit for an
Yeah.
apartment building.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true, that's true.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they needed to kind of know what,
I think more the clock really, the clock issue really is to get into a good bidding climate in the wintertime.
Yeah.
That's really the clock that you're looking at more so than
Forgot
the
all
other.
about the apartments.
I feel like as long as there's enough time with, following that meeting for us to be informed well enough, prior to the public hearing, that I'd be willing to make the motion.
okay? You want to state the motion? Which way you
I
wanna-
call for motion to approve Resolution 2016, calling for public hearing on the improvement.
Okay, we have a motion to approve Resolution 2016-81, receiving the report and calling hearing on improvement. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Diane. Any other questions, comments? I understand where Keith is coming from, and I also understand that we got an apartment house, we
No,
are doing that, but, and what we just, with the interpretive center property, we basically, I still have this gut feeling, the reason why we don't have a buyer for that anymore is because we drug things out too long.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have that happen again. That's just my personal feeling.
Yeah,
But
and that was, actually, I wasn't really even thinking of the apartment, so I'm glad Vicki brought that up, so.
okay. Any other questions or comments? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Approve Resolution 2016-82 certifying results of election.
Okay, as you know, the results from a city election are not final until the city council reviews and certifies them to the county. And so you know that we had the election and a question on the ballot. For the position of council members, David Thomas received 1,465 votes, Diane Kelly 1,380, and we had 42 write-ins. And for the ballot question, we had 904 yeses and 1,054 noes. And that is laid out in the resolution 2016-82 you have before you.
Okay. Comments? Questions? The only thing is that I'm a little disappointed on the city question.
Agreed.
I'm not certain what caused if it was a lack of communication or if it's just the word tax that
There you go.
caused that problem,
Yeah.
but
That's what did it.
we also did have a lot of newly registered voters, which is great, and maybe since they're newly registered, they weren't totally up to speed on what we had, but we'll keep trying, because as of right now, the city of Sauk Center, everyone inside the corporate city limits is gonna pay the share and not anyone else, so. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution 2016-82 certifying the election results?
So moved.
A motion by Keith,
Second.
second by Heidi. Any other comments or questions? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Approve resolution 2016-83 adjusting accounts receivable.
Each year, we write off uncollectible accounts out of the accounting system, and this includes several items. There's those, the first group is the ones that we are looking to send to collections or revenue recapture. The second groups are just removals of some miscellaneous billing errors, et cetera. And the third is what was certified to taxes. You already took the action to certify those to taxes. It just takes them out of the accounting system. So really, the only things we're actually writing off is the removals. The other ones are going to collections. And so what we have in front of you is Resolution 2016-83, adjusting the accounts receivable by sending 692916 to collections, removing 5174 from billing, and certifying 99105 to taxes, for a total of $7,971.95.
Questions? Comments? One thing that I did discuss with Vicki is that does seem to be a lot more fire collections. But from what I understand, we've been more aggressive on the billing for fire calls. So, and that is probably the reason why. Most of these I would think should be covered by insurance, but.
And our calls were up, correct?
Right, yeah. So, any other comments or questions?
Well, maybe not if there's an insurance one in there.
Yeah, that's true. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2016-83, adjusting accounts receivable by sending $6,929.16 to collections, removing $51.74 from billing, and certifying $991.05 to taxes?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Heidi, second by Keith. Any other comments? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Approve Resolution 2016-84, approving the application of Jose A. Vargas Garabay and DBA El Fogan for a transfer of an on-sale and Sunday liquor to be located at 303 and 305 Main Street South. And I know Vicki went and told me how to say that, and I totally forgot.
El Fogón. Thank you.
Okay, this is the application for the transfer, and this is for the restaurant. It's located at 303 and 305 Main Street South. And this is the restaurant that was previously owned, and the license was previously issued to Josie Perez, which is the La Nueva Hacienda, if any of you've met there, but it has changed ownership now, and these are the new owners. And they have paid the application fees, the worker compensation, the insurance, everything has been completed, and it's ready to be switched over. So all we need to do tonight is to approve Resolution 2016-84, approving the application of Jose A. Garabi, doing business as, and now this is my turn to try it, it's Fagun. El Fagun? I'm not sure. For a transfer of on-sale and Sunday liquor to be located at 303 and 305 Main Street South.
Comments? Questions? And so I don't completely wreck it again, I'm just going to go with what Vicki said. Is that a motion?
I'm going to be safe and just make the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Keith, second by Diane to approve resolution number 2016-84. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against.
And the effective date for that is December 1st, so.
7E, approve annual financial assistance payments.
These are the annual tax increment and abatement assistance payments that the city has entered into agreements with. We have Little Falls Courtyard, which has, I believe, 2 years left, and that is an old TIF district for redevelopment of the high school property over here. Their payment is $17,335.52. We have Talk Inc., which is the wind turbine place, and that payment goes to Sauk Center Opportunities because they provided them that property. That payment is $11,985.86. And then we do have one abatement contract, which is to Dunham Express, which is up in the industrial park, and their payment is $2271.73. So we're looking to approve the TIF and abatements payments as presented.
Questions? Comments? Is there a time limit on those?
The Dunham Express was for a maximum of 15 years.
Okay.
The Sauk Center Opportunities was 9 years, and it had a $95,000 limit. And Little Falls Courtyard was originally 20 years, and I believe this is year 18. So we're wrapping those up.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? If not, do I have a motion to approve the TIF and abatement payments as presented?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Diane, do I have a second?
Well, second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Approved purchase of electric golf cart.
The city owns a gas-powered golf cart that we use at the campground, and that is kind of in need of upgrading. In addition, we rent an electric golf course for use in the arena when we put the ice in, because we have to use electric inside of the building where we can't use the gas-powered cart inside. And so our Public Works Director recommends that we purchase one electric golf cart for use in the arena in the winter and in the campground in the summer. And the cart would be paid for within the existing 2016 budget. We do have a used cart available from Central Motorsports in Sauk Center. It's a 2011 club car Precedent. It includes a rear seat, the LED lights, the rear hitch, and the total cost is $3,300. And because trade-in value is relatively low on the existing cart, we recommend that we would sell that by auction. So what I'm asking for tonight is to approve the purchase of a 2011 club car electric golf cart for $3,300 and authorize the sale of the existing cart by auction.
Comments? Questions? We're basically going from 2 carts to 1, so it's a savings. But any other? Okay. I have a motion to approve the purchase of the 2011 Club Car electric golf cart for $3,300 and authorize sale of existing car by auction.
So moved.
We have a motion by Heidi,
I'll second.
second by Diane. Any other comments, questions?
Was this a budgeted item?
It wasn't a budgeted item.
It wasn't called out independently, but it's
Oh,
within the
it's under-
equipment budget.
Under equipment.
Yeah, it's under equipment. We have a motion and a second. Any other comments? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Approve Resolution 2016-85 declaring property as excess and offering for sale.
The Sauk Center Police Department, it actually has 2 forfeited vehicles. That one came in while I was working on that. And they've now been released for sale by administrative forfeiture, and we do have the titles. The department is requesting they be considered excess. It's a 1999 Ford and a 2001 Audi. I believe we now have the titles back on 5 vehicles, so we'll be putting them on the online auction shortly. So I'm looking to approve Resolution 2016-85, declaring this property excess and advertising for sale.
Questions?
Are these both passenger cars?
The 1999 Ford, I believe, is a pickup, and the Audi is a little station wagon,
Okay.
passenger car, I guess you'd call it.
I know it would be nice if we can get more of them titles because it's looking like a car lot out there.
Yeah, really, I've just
You know,
brought
so-
some.
It takes a long time. They'll sit with the county attorney for quite an extensive time before the state will release them for sale. Then we get that notice, and then we have to go apply for the title. We have to wait for the title to come, and sometimes they come in 2 weeks, and sometimes it takes much longer, so.
I suppose we could part them out in the meantime.
We
Just
could
a thought.
we could do that.
Do it on eBay.
Any other comments, questions? Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2016-85 declaring property excess and advertising for sale?
So moved.
Motion by Keith, do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Approve Resolution 2016-86 setting hearing to consider vacation of easement.
This is the public hearing, and when we did Getty Street, there was stormwater that was previously routed kitty corner across what would be Brad Winter's property over to the Wobegon Trail and then down to the viaduct. That line was abandoned. And so at the time that we approved a lot split some years ago for Brad Winters, it was always stated that at the time the stormwater got rerouted, that we would vacate that easement that crosses his property, and our storm line underneath the property is just abandoned in place. So he now has requested that we follow through to record that vacation. And before we can do that, we need to have a public hearing. So all I'm doing tonight is simply calling the public hearing on the vacation of the easement. But the public hearing would be set on the 21st of December as well.
Questions? Everyone basically know the location and where that is. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2016-85 setting public hearing to consider vacation of easement request?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Diane, second.
A second.
Second by Heidi. Any other comments? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Approved financial assistance agreement, Sauk River Watershed Shoreline Project.
As you recall, a couple of months ago, we talked about the point in the campground and the undercutting that the erosion was causing, and that we had the ability to move forward with a grant to have those repairs. We were able to get an extension on that, or the watershed was able to get the extension, so we're going through the formal process. This is the financial assistance agreement for cost share projects, and it is a very much boilerplate agreement that the watershed has to get with all of their grant recipients, but it lays out what the project is, what our responsibility is, and then ongoing operation and maintenance. So we are agreeing to implement it the way we applied for it, and that we agree to maintain it for a period of 10 years in that condition. So rather than being the one with the willow branches at the bottom and then put the plantings on that, we're actually going to do a Class 3 riprap that will be out. We're almost actually gaining a little bit of our shoreline, and then we'll put the fill in behind that, and then that gets covered with the plantings, and then there'll be some buffer. And so this is the same agreement that we talked to before. The design is a little bit different. The total cost of the project at this time is $29,900. But this is a cost share with the city, but our cost is going to be existing materials and labor. So we won't actually be spending additional money. It's things that we already have. We have fill, we have labor, that type of thing. So what we're looking for tonight is actually authorizing us to formally enter into the financial assistance agreement with Sauk River Watershed for that campground project. And then it's slated for spring now.
Okay. Questions, comments? That's one of the questions I had, because it's in the schedule here that we have to start the project by December 1st.
Right, and
Unless they agree to it, but you just stated now it's slated for the spring.
starting the project is getting the agreements in place and getting the order placed, and so the order is ready to be sent in.
Okay,
So
all right.
we'll meet that.
Okay. Any other questions? I think the riprap will definitely
Yeah.
be.
Is there another pen down
Is there another pen down there?
Sure.
Thanks.
There you go.
I think the riprap will be a lot nicer than red willow, because just eventually red willow will turn into 8 feet tall, and you won't be able to see the lake from the campground, so.
Right.
Yep.
Do I have a motion to approve best management practice financial assistance agreement for cost share project with Sauk Center Watershed?
So move.
You have a motion by
I'll
Keith,
second.
second by Diane. Any other comments or questions? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Approve agreement with Versa Vending Incorporated.
Okay, in the past, the city had a contract with Burnix to service all of the pop machines in the city, and they owned the pop machines. And then about 5 years ago, they got out of the can business, and the pop machines themselves, the can machines, were turned over to the city. And as long as we would use them for maintenance and that, then we had those machines. And now they're getting to the point now where we're having to start spending money on repairing them. And in addition to that, our staff goes and buys the pop and stocks the machines and does that. So as an alternative to that is we look to go out to a company that would come back and service the machines, put the machines in, take care of them, fill them, and then we would receive a commission. And that's VersaVend, and that would be Viking Coke, I believe it is, out of Alexandria. And so they proposed to us an agreement that they would come in and they would take care of those with the city. Not the arena one. The arena one stays with the Hockey Association, but this would be the one here at City Hall. We'd have the one down at Sinclair Lewis Park. We would be able to put one in the splash pad. So we would have either cans or bottles, and that will work out with them. But this agreement just lays out what our responsibilities are and what they will provide. And Matt is the one that worked with them on this agreement, if you have any questions for him. Other than that, we're going to look to approve this VersaVend vending agreement.
Questions from the council? I've got a couple. I've talked, just things I've talked to Matt shortly about this. On page 41, the page 4 of the agreement, there's a volume commitment in there. Talking to Matt, they never talked about any volume or quantities that had to be met. And he suggested if we do pass this, that we should take that out of there, and if they have a problem with it, they won't sign the agreement. But what I'm concerned about on that is it says that we'll purchase 2,098 units, and a unit is defined as a 24 count case.
That's a lot.
You
That's a
know,
lot of cases.
what I don't want is if we only sell 1,500 cases, that at the end of the year, we're getting handed a bill for 500 and some
Yep.
cases of pop because we didn't hit the term limit, or, you know, the terms of the contract. The other thing is, we're really not certain what the definition of still beverages is. You know, is that 20 ounce, whatever, you know. When you go to the next page on the attachments, down at the bottom, it says, you know, way it sounds, we're probably not going with 12-ounce cans, we're going with 20-ounce bottles in these machines. But is that considered the 20-ounce sparkling, or is that
No.
water or juice?
As I understand it, that the sparkling is the carbonated,
Okay,
and the still beverages are like the juices and the things that you could buy that are not
Not
pop.
okay, all right. I'm glad you clarified that, because Matt didn't know and I didn't know. So,
You can't know everything.
Well, there's another type of still beverage too.
that's right, yeah.
That was my first choice.
Yeah,
Then we might need,
that's a pretty good price on
So
that.
has anyone else got any questions about the contract? If we do go ahead with it, I think that we should eliminate the volume commitment. since there was no discussion on that.
Good catch.
And I don't want to tie ourselves to that. I see Heidi's pointing at
Well,
something.
I'm just also looking at it, it's kind of covered under number 12 as well, which is the 378 units or less than $13,050 for annual sales that they have the ability to terminate. So if we eliminate the volume commitment, we're still kind of held to a sales
Right.
level at number 12, but it's much less.
Well, the 378, I think, is a lot more probably
Doable.
attainable.
Yeah.
Considering they'll bring the machines in the spring and take them out in the fall. And plus, the ones here at City Hall would
Year
go
round.
into effect all right away. So I think that's more attainable.
Yeah, agreed.
Anybody else have any other questions or, okay. Do I have a motion to approve the Versa vending agreement? And if you want to change that, you can obviously do it.
I would make a motion that we approve the entering into the agreement with the deletion of the volume commitment.
Okay? Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I have a second by Heidi. Okay, so we have a motion to approve the Versa vending agreement with the elimination of letter I, the volume commitment from the contract. Any other comments or questions? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Approve appointment of seasonal arena worker.
In October, the city approved the appointment of various winter seasonal employment positions, and we had one opening remaining at the arena for evenings and weekends. We did receive an application from Michael Anderson. He's also a volunteer with our fire department, and so he has applied for that position. So we are recommending that Mike Anderson be appointed to the position of seasonal arena worker.
Comments, questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to appoint Mike Anderson as the seasonal arena worker?
So moved.
Motion by Heidi, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. We have no unfinished business, we have no new business. That brings us to our consent agenda. Schedule of claims, unpaid claims of $32,984.65. Paid claims of $938.76 for a total of $33,923.41. October checks totaling $389,038.61. We also have resolution number 2016-87, resolution accepting a donation from the men's card playing group of $190.16 to be given to the senior center, and $1,000 from the American Legion Post 67 for the ambulance department. I want to thank both those groups for their donations on behalf of the city. Is there any other questions, comments on the consent calendar? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented? We have a motion by Diane, second by Keith. Any other questions? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. We have no informational items. This now brings us to the end of our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion by Heidi. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Keith. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Meeting adjourned.